in decent health?
Firstly, like for people that say I'm a hero, I'm not a hero. I try to desert. That's not something a hero would do. Secondly, like my treatment's been good. Like I've not been beaten or anything. It's been better than what I actually thought it was going to be. Like when we were surrendering, I was scared to death of like what might happen. I thought I was going to be lined up and shot, but it's been quite the opposite. Like we've been given food, water, access to speaking to journalists. I had asked previously to speak to Western journalists, and they went through with that and brought journalists. They brought Italian journalists, Graham today. So I'm deeply thankful for that.
And particularly as well, I think, Aidan, to just compare that, I'd like to, I think really to get your thoughts on the fact that your colleagues, the barbarism, the brutality towards Russian prisoners of war. Well, an interesting point is, let's be honest here, let's say things as they are, that your family have appealed for Russia to adhere to the Geneva Convention. Technically, you're a mercenary, so that doesn't apply to you. However, you're still being treated well. You're here, we're speaking, you're fed, you're watered, etc. Well, on the other side, we've seen Russian servicemen butchered, tortured, slaughtered by your colleagues, your comrades. I mean, how does that make you feel?
It annoys me, like, because I did believe in Ukraine, but as I said, like after all this, like the real reality of like what's behind like a lot of the people who seem nice, the reality of their actions has been shown, and they're not as good as they say they are, especially with the videos that we've all seen.
We're talking about evil here.
Yes, this is like stuff that the comparable to the Nazis did when they would capture like prisoners.
And who for you is Stepan Bandera?
Fascist. I don't like him. I've always believed he's a fascist, and I could never really grasp why Ukraine wanted him like around.
Did you ever take part in any of the chants, any of the Slava Ukraine, or any of these neo-Nazi fascist chants that they use?
We use in the military. They use Slava Ukraine as like a national greeting,
which was used in World War II by the Ukrainian Insurgent Army, also Nazis.
Yeah. So we use that as a greeting in the Ukrainian military.
How do you feel about that now?
I don't want to use it anymore. For me, after this, like I have no care for Ukraine. Like,
and let's break it down, Aidan. In the United Kingdom, in the British media, it's categorically delineated down the lines of the Ukrainians are the good guys, the Russians are the bad guys. Tell me, from one who now has experience of both sides, what's the reality?
Ukraine's not the good guys. If Ukraine was the good guys, we would have left Mariupoel. Our commanders would have told us to leave Donbass. In realistic terms, they would have told us to pull back to the lines of, I think it's Zaporozhye, and just allow the DNR to take Mariupol and the cities peacefully. Instead, they told us to stay in Mariupol, and now if we look at Mariupol, it's no worse than Stalingrad.
And do you know there was a referendum in Mariupol in 2014? The people overwhelmingly voted to join the Donetsk People's Republic, but for 8 years they were held basically captive by the Azov battalion in a reign of terror.
Yeah.
I'm not putting words into your mouth.
No, I know this. I remember seeing this.
Constitutional facts.
And again, Azov's influence in Mariupol was massive, like in terms of like military support that they received from the state. It was actually during this operation we actually got to see how much support they got. I saw brand new American armoured Humvees that had obviously been given to Azov instead of like the regular military.
And who were these guys? Describe them to me. These the Azov.
The ones I'd seen when they came by. We had a few instances where they came by with the commander to speak to our commander. They looked the typical like hooligan, like sort of like build, tattoos everywhere. There was a couple of Croatians with them, and they didn't seem like they were the normal kind of like nationalists. They seemed more far right because they had like patches with swastikas. I tried speaking to one and he just like laughed at me because I was in the Marines.
I get it. All over the world, Aidan, people are going. They're being, even in the case of the British government, there is of course a law that, I mean, you're a British citizen with also Ukrainian.
I'm in process of Ukrainian citizenship.
You're a British citizen.
Yeah.
There is a law that British citizens should not take part, obviously, are forbidden to take part in conflict. However, in the case of Ukraine, everything has been waived, it's a free-for-all, and even in the words of Liz Truss, you've been encouraged, men from the UK have been encouraged to come and take up arms fighting on the Ukrainian side. What would you like to say, not only to the UK, but to those from around the world thinking of coming, or rather going to Ukraine, because they were in Donbass, this is not Ukraine, this is the Donetsk People's Republic. What would you say to those thinking of going to Ukraine to take up arms on the Ukrainian side?
Don't do it, you'll be used. Obviously, to the person that will be viewing this thinking about going, like, you'll be thinking like it's someone putting this into my mouth. But I tell you like now, like 100%, like if you go, you're an idiot. Like myself, like we were used, we were easily tossed aside when forgotten about. If there's people that think they're going to be coming out to be the hero, like don't even think about coming out. There's no point. And the British government need to stop I can't think of the word. Stop supporting like citizens to go fight alongside the Ukrainians.
These are all words, in fact, to get that point again of communication. Even your own Twitter account it's not you that operates that.
No,
it's very active.
It's operated by a Canadian, like one of my old like Canadian friends. I just gave it to him because I trusted him to like run it, but like
because that's come out now with a virulent stream of anti-Russian.
But I've told him before, like to stop posting like the anti-Russian stuff, because even when I was like running it, I hated the like it's not us or them. It's like with the same sides. Like we should be treated like non-biasedly when we're reporting stuff. But yeah, I haven't had any. And
to your countrymen, Aidan, speak to people in the UK as they look at this. What should they think of? I mean, to me, I'm going to say it as it is.
Yeah.
And they're not going to. You're a man that's made a massive mistake. In fact, let's take that point. It's easy to speak words and words. You're now lucky to be in a place that your comrades have been bombing for 8 years, killing untold misery and death here in Donetsk. From those who were in the same flag that you were wearing just a week.